Welcome to the series on the playlist of videos on essential concepts of probability for data science. This is Hemakumar Kasala, and I wish to introduce you to the concept of conditional probability in this session. Let's get into the session. Conditional probability is best understood by means of an example. Let PE be the probability of an event E that an individual is affected by COVID in a locality. Let the outcomes, individuals in this case, that constitute event B be illustrated using the blue dotted line as shown below. Let PF be the probability of an event F that an individual is tested positive for COVID in the same locality. Let the outcomes, individuals in this case, that constitute event F be illustrated using the brown dotted line as shown below. What is the probability that an individual is affected by COVID given the condition that individual is tested positive is the question to which the answer defines the conditional probability. In case you want to know the practical usefulness of this question, it could be to evaluate the false positives in the testing results. Hence, the conditional probability in this case is defined as the probability that an individual is affected by COVID given the condition that individual is tested positive. This definition of conditional probability is not all that straightforward and needs a step-by-step understanding as follows. Event F, that is the event that an individual is tested positive, occurs with a certain probability Pf. Event E intersection F, that is the event that an individual is tested positive and also affected by COVID, occurs with a different probability P E intersection F. But it is important to note that probability of E intersection F is not the same as the conditional probability as defined in the statement above. This is important. This is because probability of E intersection F is the probability of an individual being both affected by COVID and tested positive, with the trials being conducted on the entire sample space. In other words, the sample space that includes all the individuals in this case. Whereas the conditional probability is the probability that an individual is affected by COVID on the outcomes of the trials where the individual is found tested positive. In other words, the conditional probability is evaluated only on those outcomes that are tested positive as against the entire sample space to arrive at the probability for those who are also affected by COVID. Hence, conditional probability is on selected outcomes and not on all the outcomes from the sample space. This leads to the sample space shrinking from all outcomes to only those who are tested positive as illustrated below. Since the current example chosen exhibits equally likely outcomes, in other words, the probability that any individual chosen in a given trial is the same across all the individuals in the population, conditional probability is evaluated using the ratio of individuals that are affected by COVID to the individuals that are tested positive. Since affected ones amongst the tested ones are considered, the above expression can be written as the ratio of individuals that are tested positive and affected by COVID to the individuals that are tested positive. Dividing the numerator and the denominator with all outcomes in the sample space, in other words, all individuals in the sample space or locality, we get the ratio of individuals that are tested positive and affected to all individuals in the sample space divided by the ratio of individuals that are tested positive to all individuals in the sample space. Since the numerator equals probability of E intersection F and denominator equals probability of F, the conditional probability can be defined as the ratio of the probability of event E intersection F to the probability of event F. Illustrations for what we discussed so far. Event F comprises of individuals that are tested positive as a subset of total sample space. Event E comprises of individuals that are actually affected by COVID, illustrated superimposed on event F. Event E intersection F comprises of individuals that are actually affected by COVID and also tested positive. Conditional probability is the probability of occurrence of event E intersection F highlighted using the brown solid line, given the occurrences of event F highlighted using the green solid line. Note the total sample space taking the backseat in this illustration. Having understood conditional probability via an example, let's take a look at the general definition for conditional probability. In general, the conditional probability is defined as the probability of an event E occurring given that event F has occurred. Represented as probability of E given F, it is defined as the ratio of probability of E intersection F to probability of F. That brings us to the end of the session on understanding the concept of conditional probability. Please share your questions and remarks if any, and I'll try and respond back as soon as possible. Thank you, and see you with the next session on the playlist of videos on the essential concepts on probability for data science. Bye until then.